various groups, and who then will also consider the question of how do we infuse the question of boundaries review or constituencies under Article 89. It will consider the question of how do we consider and review the number and boundaries of counties under Article 188 of the Constitution.
This is KTN News.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, you are finding us at the tail end of an amazing conversation. I have three amazing women here from all different walks of life, helping us understand what it feels like to be a woman in business. And before we went on the commercial break, we were talking about the aspect of women not being courageous or confident enough to ask for the price that they know that they deserve. And Mucha, I want you to pick it up from there.
So I think the reality is that in the African context, we socialize our children differently, or we have in the past. So a boy will be taught that if he's on the table and he wants to jump off, he'll be told, jump, be bold, be courageous. And yet a girl will be told, okay, no, be careful, be gentle, don't fall, So what we do is, growing up, we teach our boys to be brave, to be bold, to go out there, and we teach our girls to be demure, reserved. I was sharing in the break that when I got married, I remember very vividly, I was dancing on the dance floor. I'm from Zimbabwe, and Zimbabwean culture, we dance a lot at weddings. And so I was on the dance floor with my husband, and I was having a ball. And I remember an auntie of mine came and said to me, Mucha, I think you should sit down now. And I said to her, why? I'm having fun. And she said, no, it's not good for your in-laws to see you like this. And I was like, no, this is my wedding, and I'm going to enjoy it.
And we do that unknowingly, subconsciously, when we tell the boy and the girl child different things.
And so I think, you would have read things like how when a man sees a job advert and if he ticks 3 out of the 10 requirements, he'll apply. A woman will wait until she ticks all 10. So we teach our girls to be safe. And I think that's what then moves us to that point where you're in a job where actually you're good enough to get a raise, you're good enough to be paid more, but you're not asking for it. Whereas a guy feels like he can take the risk. What's the worst that can happen?
Just be told no.
Yeah, and you're no worse off than where you were before. And I think that we need to teach our daughters to be risk takers. I'm a mother of boys, so I don't have girls.
Let's talk about that. The fact that you are a mother of boys, the role that men have to play, especially even in your own success as women, right? All of you are married, all of you have children. I'm sure the men in your life, be it your husband, your brothers, your dads, have played a fundamental role. Let's talk about that, Susan. I'll begin with you coming down. The role that a man has in also the achievements of a woman.
Huge. Like, my husband has been very supportive, and he does not understand necessarily everything that I do, but he's very supportive and helps me deal with the challenges. We discuss it, and he gives me a few pointers here and there. So it's been absolutely important. When I'm fighting out there, the other guys, I get home and it's absolutely amazing. Even when it's been very hard, I'm like, oh my God, what did I get myself into? He's like, keep going, you're doing a good job. So my daughter as well has been supportive, and sometimes it gets very crazy and you're out there. Sometimes there are challenges, and especially in our industry with our product, adulteration, I don't know, clients, I don't know what. So sometimes you have to travel out of town, and she's like, okay, are you going for a meeting? All right. No problem. When are you coming back? Right.
So there's that support that as much as you're superwoman, you can be superwoman without the support from your ecosystem, your husband and your children and so forth. So Joanne, perhaps, and you were sharing with us what your own dad was able to do for you in your journey of entrepreneurship.
My mom died when I was 3.5. So my father took on the role of both mom and dad. So he was always encouraging me to move forward. And whenever we'd have fights with my brothers, because I've grown up with boys, and I happen to have just boys, he would tell me, you have to learn how to fight. Yeah, you have to find your ground with these boys. Don't come back to me. So I've learned to really work hard, play also the game that they are playing, and even become better.
And sit at the table.
And sit at the table, yes. And my husband, too, has been very, very supportive. Whenever, we deal with property. So if I'm taking clients to the property to see, he would take me there with them. It doesn't matter what time it is. He's always been supportive. So I've always had that. There's always someone championing me. So I feel very encouraged, very strong moving forward.
And I'm glad that what you just said complemented what Mucha said. The fact that it starts with how you are brought up. Your dad used to tell you, don't come back and tell me your brothers are fighting. Go handle them yourself. And that then influenced how you also are aggressive in business.
That's right.
Wow. Mucha for you,
it's so important. I mean, equally, my husband has been very supportive. Initially, we, pulled money together so that I could invest in the business. He's been very supportive. And even supportive in the sense of, there's that stereotype of what an African woman should be. And I think
her
that
places in
a
the
lot
kitchen.
of the times, the funny thing is, I was having a conversation with a friend recently, and the funny thing is, very many times, that stereotype is in our heads. We think that that's what they want. But actually, when you sit down and talk, you realize that it's not even true. He's not bothered about some of those things that we feel so much pressure to do. And that's been very relieving for me. I turned 40 a few years ago, and I think one of the best gifts I gave to myself was to let go of those expectations and just do me and do what I can. My family is very important to me, and I really prioritize them. I have 2 young boys, so, and I am very involved in their school. I go for their sports days and the like. But at the same time, I do what I can. And I've, relieved myself of that expectation that, as an African woman, you must do this, you must do that.
You need to come home and cook, you need to clean, you need to do.
So I let go of that, and that's been good for me and our marriage. And often, I want to emphasize this, often that expectation is in our heads.
As women.
As women. It's actually not something that they're sitting there thinking, you must, you must, you must. I think the biggest advice I would give to a woman who wants to be successful as an entrepreneur, build a support system. From the person you employ in your home, employ someone who is good, employ someone who is able to do, so that you can stop doing some of the things that are not necessary for you to do. I'm in that stage now where I really assess some things in the home. Is it really necessary for me to do this? No, it's not. Like, I don't wash dishes.
Let go of a few things. And ladies, let's talk about that very quickly, the aspect of work and life balance, right? But more importantly, because you're all super women in your own regards, I'm sure there are times where you just need to fall back a little bit and just have time for yourself, group yourself together, and then move forward. There are times when you're like, whew, okay, I need to take a break. So let's talk about work and life balance. Joanna, how do you do that? How do you perhaps balance being a mother, being a wife, being an entrepreneur, but then also at the end of the day, of course, being also a daughter or a sister to someone else? You have all these other roles. But how do you balance all that while still making sure you have time for yourself?
I think I have a super helper back at home, and I took time to look for someone who's suitable for us as a family, because you interview the lady and you know that my sons will be happy with this lady, my husband is okay, plus myself. So I don't have to focus so much inside the home because there's someone taking care of that. So that gives me leeway to do what I want for myself. If I need to take a break, my husband will also tell me, okay, how you want to go out with your friends, that's okay. You can go out, yes.
And you're unapologetic about it?
Unapologetic. We'll take a weekend off and go to Nakuru, take a road trip, and come back, unwind, distress.
And that's important.
Very important.
So you can move forward.
Yes.
Okay, Susan, for you, what is your trick? First of all, how do you do the whole work-life balance? And for Joanne, it's a girl's trip that does it for her. How do you balance it all, and how do you put time for yourself?
I keep very good company of myself. So sometimes, in the past, I used to just, in a year, I do a holiday by myself.
By yourself?
By myself. Then I would have a family holiday. And when I look back, that helps me a lot because it gave me time to space out. Right now, the space I'm in is not, the time is very, a lot of important things are competing for my time. So sometimes I have to pick and choose because now, as you said, I'm big on mentorship, both adults and children. And a year ago, for me, I'm also passionate about parenting. And our partner and I started a children's mentorship program. And it's been a labor of love, a lot of work putting into it. But it's amazing the results we have, because I believe if we mentor our children from very young, then we don't have to correct some of these things when they're adults. And for us, we felt one child at a time. If we are able to do it for one child, it is very satisfying.
So for you, I can tell prioritizing.
Prioritizing.
Yeah.
And then for me, I haven't been very lucky with the front at home when it comes to the help, because like the last 4 years or 4.5, I've been shuttling back and forth for family reasons. So I'm in the country, sometimes I'm out in the country. So I would get a good person, and sometimes I don't have a good person. But the support system from my family, both my sisters and my in-laws, has been amazing. And sometimes when it would get tough, like my sisters would come in. I know I've swung them into things. I'm like, what are you doing in the evening? Okay, nothing. You have a PTA meeting. All right, see you.
Yeah. That's a big very good trust. They can fully stand in your capacity.
Yes.
I like what you said, Susan. And one of my close girlfriends did the same thing, where you go on a trip alone.
Yeah.
I'm like, how? But you do it, and that's the way you can declutter.
Yes.
You know, just go on a trip alone.
By the way, when you go on business trips, you know you are alone, eh? Most of the times you're not carrying other people with you, so... Yeah.
So you have to might as well become comfortable with yourself and your own company.
Might as well.
Yeah.
Mucha, for you, how do you do it all?
So I have a regular date at the spa. I have a friend of mine who runs a spa.
Ooh, nice.
Yes, Body Evolution by Winnie. So I go there on a monthly. I have a standing appointment the second Monday of every month.
Oh, she's even
blocked
crowded.
in my- It's blocked in my diary. My office knows that they cannot give me an appointment at that time.
And it's on a Monday when everyone is being grumpy.
Yes, yes. So we have a Monday meeting with my team every week. So I go in for the Monday meeting, we set our agenda for the week, and then I head to the spa. And that has been amazing for me. So it just gives me time to just de-stress. And I mean, the spa I go to is amazing. They do a really good job. And that really helps.
And the work and life balance?
Yeah, I think that it's about prioritizing. As I mentioned, a couple of years I turned 40. A couple of years ago I turned 40. And there's something about turning 40 that just, I don't know, I love being 40. It just releases you. And one of the things I learned is how to say no. Yeah, I'm very active in my church. I think, like you, I work, the mentorship I do is through church. We have a club that we call the Adventurer Club, and I'm the head of the Adventurer Club. Right now we have about 120 kids who are in that club. So I think it's learning to say no. So prior to that, I had very many roles in church, very many roles in social. I was the social secretary for a group of friends. I was the one who would always host. And I reached a point where I thought, no, I can't. So I exited some WhatsApp groups and said, this is not something that I want to focus on. And I just narrowed my focus.
And that was so freeing.
Very.
I think that's one thing we need to do as ladies, learn how to befriend the word no.
Yeah,
no can become your best friend.
I really learned that I can say no. Mucha, can you do this? Actually, no, I can't.
Without an explanation.
Without an explanation and no apology.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think for me, that was one of the best gifts I gave myself, and I'm still learning it. The third thing I did, so it's the spa, learning to say no. The third thing I did was learning to automate my life. So my vegetables are delivered on a Tuesday, my juice is delivered on a Friday, my groceries are delivered, dry cleaning is picked up on a Friday and delivered on a Monday. I realized that there are some things that I don't need to spend my time doing, and so I am automating them so that I've developed good relationships with the vendors. I found vendors that work for me. There's a lady who runs an organization called Swell Laundry, and yeah, she picks up my laundry on Friday and brings it back on Monday. So I think for me, automation really helps as well.
All right.
So it frees you from doing unnecessary things.
Let's close up with advice that you have for women, especially women who are sort of struggling, and just to come back to what we started on when you were sharing your personal stories, they couldn't see tomorrow, they couldn't see 10 years ahead because somehow maybe they've been laid off from their job, they're not getting the support that they need. And I'll begin with Susan as I come down, the advice that you have for fellow women who are in business.
Number one, don't do it alone. Yeah. Everybody needs support. Get the support that you need, both at home and at work. The support is there. There are organizations, plenty of them, including the government, very supportive of women. Secondly, if you can't be able to have the purpose conversation when you're much early in your 20s, the better. If there are people who can help you do that, so that you know, whatever why are you on this earth, so that you don't have to go along at it then when you're in your 40s again, changing your career. And get some time out also. Like, look for things that you love and don't feel so bad when you know, you don't have to pick up after everyone, and you just go and relax like Mucha.
Yeah.
With no apologies, yes.
Without explaining.
Without explaining. But like, take time out to, you know, breathe in, breathe out. You're a better parent, you're a better spouse, you're a better friend, other than being all... Yeah.
All right, Joanne, for you, your advice?
For me, it's be focused. Be focused. Know exactly what you want to do, and then do not give up. Do not give up. Don't give up on yourself. You know exactly what you want, so go for it. Take that first step and don't stop. It's one day at a time. Go building yourself. Get people who can mentor you, like Mucha, like Susan, you know. Move forward. Don't stop. Don't look back and feel, oh, I can't do this anymore. Just encourage yourself. If you believe in God like I do, go to the Bible, read the Bible, get your strength also from the Lord. It does help. Yeah.
Wow. Love that. Mucha, for you, your closing remarks?
I would echo everything that has been said here, particularly that last factor about drawing strength from outside yourself. I think that it is God's purpose that we succeed, and He wants to give us everything possible in that journey to succeed. And sometimes life takes you through some detours, and you think, okay, God, where are we going? But it's all good. I'm following you because I know that you have a plan for me.
Yeah.
And then I think for me, plug into networks. So we're all from OIT, the Organization of Women in International Trade, and plug into networks, because in those networks you grow. Business is not the same since I joined OIT. It has really grown as a result of the access to information, as a result of the access to subject matter experts who are able to help me grow my business, as a result of the networking opportunities that exist. And, you know, right now we have a conference coming up in a couple of weeks' time on the 25th of October at the Intercon. And we'll be talking and having this discussion about women and how women can trade globally, how women can go across borders and do business. OIT's mandate is really to advance the promotion of women in international trade. That's what we're all about as an organization. And as a board, that is our priority. How can we make sure that we help women in OIT to get access to information, that they get access to markets, and that they get access to the financing that they need so that they can trade across borders.
All right, ladies, thank you so much for your time. Of course, that was an amazing panel, but they're just helping us understand the challenges, but also opportunities that women face. Susan Dirangu, she's the director at Global Oil Petroleum. Mucha Mulingo, the president of OIT, and Joanne Jerry, she is the director of Miamu Properties. All these women sharing with us their stories. Now, we want to take, before we can close off the show, rather, I would love to bring you up to speed with stories making headlines on the international front. And at least 16 people were killed in Somalia on Saturday in suicide bombings that targeted a restaurant and coffee shop. Police said bombers walked into the two locations in the southwestern city of Baidoa and detonated their vests within minutes of each other's, according to witnesses. And the blast came at a day before the first anniversary of a truck bombing that left more than 500 dead in Mogadishu, the worst ever attack in Somalia.